Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the A Collision with Purpose project Under the Spotlight. Here, individuals are given the opportunity to explore self in pursuit of their purpose. I am Dr. Laxley Stephenson, and I'm your host. The A Collision with Purpose project allows individuals to pause, be quiet, be introspective, and explore self in pursuing their purpose with the intention to unleash possibilities with far-reaching implications. Today, the A Collision with Purpose Project spotlight is on Dr. Aretha L. Day. Dr. Day is a scholar consultant, a social entrepreneur, an educator, an author, and a personal and professional development trainer. Let us welcome Dr. Day to the A Collision with Purpose project Under the Spotlight. Dr. Day, it is indeed my pleasure to welcome you to the A Collision with Purpose project Under the Spotlight. I'm looking forward to having an engaging, insightful, and interactive conversation with you about a topic which I believe is arguably one of the most consequential concepts in forming how we function as individuals on a daily basis, and ultimately what we perceive as our legacy.
Well, let me first say, Dr. Stephenson, that it is my pleasure to be here with you to have been invited on this program and to go on this exploration. I've been looking forward to it, pondering, what I might say, what is purpose, and so I'm ready.
You know, Dr. Day, when I collided with this idea about purpose, you're one of the first person I thought of. And so I think it's a mutual agreement that we are both looking forward to this conversation. So Dr. Day, today you're going to explore self in pursuit of your purpose. I will ask you a series of questions relating to purpose. Are you ready to conduct an exploration of self in pursuit of your purpose?
Yes, I'm ready to conduct this exploration, and I am in expectation of what will come out of it and how I can expand my purpose in action.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. So any conversation about purpose should begin with a definition of what is purpose. Would you mind sharing with our audience your definition of purpose?
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, first, being a scholar consultant, the first thing I did was look up the definition of purpose in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And that definition is something being started or created with a goal in mind. It's created, and the key word here is with a goal or something. It said with something in mind. And so when I was thinking about my purpose years ago, I was trying to figure out what is my purpose? Why am I here? What am I meant to do? And along the way, my mother gave me this beautiful, beautiful card. And it said, God has a purpose for your life. And it had some beautiful sayings. And she also talked to me and she said, your purpose is to do something specific, important, and lasting for God. And she said, we're all meant here to help each other and to do something significant for God. So out of that, I drew from that and I developed the definition of purpose for my life is that I'm here not just I'm here to have a good life, but I'm also here to do something significant and leave this world and people in this world better off than what it was when I was here. You know, before I came, and I left something of significance and importance here for others.
So leaving something behind that will add value to others is what it's all about. That's what I'm hearing.
That's one part of it.
Mhm.
The other part, the first part, is doing something or things, some things of importance and impactful for others while you're here.
You're here.
I'll give you an example. And one thing for me is that, you know, when we start talking about purpose, everyone thinks, or I shouldn't say everyone, some people, many people think that purpose means that you have to be widely known by everyone in the world. You know, we're living in the social media platform era where everyone is famous, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But what about impacting your neighborhood? You know, impacting your family, impacting your neighborhood. That doesn't mean that someone else on the other side of the world will know about you, but you're having a specific impact right where you are and where you live. And if you don't mind me giving you an example, sharing an example, there's a lady that is of my mother's generation. She's of the silent generation and have lived up the street from us for years. I mean, since back in the 60s or maybe even before that. But this lady, you know, when I'm going for walks in my neighborhood or, you know, traveling to and fro, this 80-some-year-old woman is out there with a broom, and she's sweeping not only in front of her house, keeping the area in front of her house clean, but she sweeps both the bus stops. There is a bus stop on one side of the street and the bus stop on another side of the street. And she's over there sweeping the the canopy area where people can stand or sit there for the bus. You know, she's making sure the neighborhood is clean. Is that, or is not that, a legacy? Is that an example of helping other people? Is that an example of bettering other people's lives? I would say so. She's impacting me. I'm talking about her here on this podcast. She has no idea. And she does it consistently. She's been doing it for years. And I happened to see her the other day. And I mean, we have a nice, clean street. It's not a main like thoroughway, like a highway, but it's a main neighborhood street. And the street is clean. You know, there's a church down the street, a couple of blocks away from me, going in the other direction. And I think I know at least once, but I think once or twice a year, I see them coming through the neighborhood with their, you know, plastic gloves, the heavy duty plastic gloves on, their church t-shirts and their garbage bags. And not only do they go up and down the street on the main street, but they're coming through the alleyways, cleaning the street. They've done this for years. And so those are the type of things that I don't want people to overlook when we start discussing purpose. You know, I live in a beautiful neighborhood and I sweep in front of my home, and I sweep a little bit up and a little bit, you know, in the area going into my neighbor's yard. If I see some trash that has blown into my neighbor's yard, I don't say, oh, well, that's their yard. They need to pick that up. we're pretty friendly with each other. So I know they don't mind. I'm not going into anyone's gates or anything, but I know that they don't mind me coming into their yard and doing that. So those are the type of things that we can do to impact each other's lives on purpose.
On purpose, yes. So your definition, quite elaborate and very engaging and very involved, suggests and indicate that it is important for one to understand what their purpose is. So can you speak to why is it important that each of us have some understanding of our purpose?
It is important for each of us to have a deep understanding of our purpose, because if we do not have an understanding of our purpose, then we're just living. We're merely existing, I should say. We're existing. We're here. We're functioning, but we're existing. We're not living. When you begin to understand your purpose, when you begin to have a collision with your purpose, there's an unfolding that begins to take place that no money, no education, no material resources can buy. It's a level of knowing, it's a level of fulfillment. Oh my goodness, there's a level of fulfillment and satisfaction that comes from beginning to know your purpose. And there's a yearning. I think a lot of us have a yearning, even if we don't know what it is. There's a yearning to know why we're here.
Is it possible that some people are actually living their purpose without knowing it?
I would say so. It's quite possible. They're caught up in this. They're caught up in the rapture of just being. And maybe they haven't pursued to really understanding because it comes so natural for them. It might be caring for endangered animals. It could be anything. It could be in their actual job, their profession, and they are so in tune with it that they don't really think about having to live on purpose because they are living on purpose.
So, your definition and what you said about the importance of understanding one's purpose is so important in itself. But can you articulate your purpose? What is your purpose in a very specific way? And I know you started to talk about your purpose in your definition, but can you share with us in a very definitive way what your purpose is?
Yes, my purpose is to, through various methods, is to bring about healing, inspiration, encouragement, empowerment, and education.
Okay, all important things. I've often heard people use the term or the concept living on purpose. What does that mean?
Living on purpose means to live intentionally in a positive way that impacts your life positively, and through that, it ripples out and it impacts other people's lives in a positive way. I found through my different travels, just day-to-day activities, that I impact other people around me as a role model, a leader. I'll say as a catalyst too. I find that, you know, my living on purpose ignites through inspiration, through encouragement, through empowerment, is that it ignites inspiration and a desire in others to do great things also. And I'm living on purpose. I'm being me.
Mhm. So what about you? What do you get, from this? What is it doing for you personally?
Several things. First, there's a feeling, but it's beyond, superficial feelings of, uh, the surface. I shouldn't say superficial, but the surface level of happiness. There's a joy and a fulfillment that comes from living on purpose and seeing how what I do impacts and um, encourages other people and changes, influences their lives. It's a fulfillment. Oh my goodness. I'll say it's almost like a feeling of rapture or ecstasy that cannot be explained.
Explain. Okay, I understand. Maybe when you come back on this program, you will come up with an explanation for for that, which you just mentioned.
For rapture, for ecstasy and rapture.
Yes, maybe when you come back on this program another time, you will bring that explanation with you. Okay. So, how do you know when you're aligned with your purpose, when you're living in purpose? Is there that special feeling? Is there something that is triggering that feeling? How does that work?
There is a knowing. You said, how do you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know because there is a knowing. You know that you know that you know that you know that you know. There's a knowing. There's also things begin to align. Anything we do, there's effort that you must put forth to achieve, even when you're living on purpose. What I found is that for the most part, there's an ease that comes with life. Things line up, things come to you to help you live this purpose. Sometimes it's almost scary or frightening. You're like, whoa, where is all this coming from? And then you realize, okay, I'm aligned with my purpose. I'm aligned with what I'm supposed to be doing.
So that must be an awesome, a wonderful place to arrive at in your life.
It is. And not to be too dramatic, too melodramatic, but it's almost like a feeling of floating, like a floating through life. And I'm not just saying, going through life without any effort, but it's a floating feeling. That's all I can say. You're walking on the ground, but there's also, your spirit, your mindset, your emotions, even your body. There's a relaxed floating feeling. If you've ever had a massage, after you have the massage, when you come out of the spa, there's a floating feeling because, massage releases additional endorphins and serotonin in your body. So you know that you're walking out of the spa but there is an elevated sense of well-being and wholeness.
Okay. For some individuals, understanding, knowing when they're aligned with their purpose is somewhat challenging. What advice can you offer for those individuals?
Don't give up hope. Keep trying different things, because read, become active in different community activities, try different jobs. If you're searching, if there's a searching and a seeking and you haven't found yet, keep trying different things, and don't feel like because you tried this or you tried that and it doesn't work, or you only stay here or you only stay there for a period of time. What might be occurring is that all these different things are helping you to discover your purpose. You might actually be on your path and your journey to discovery, and you haven't arrived at your purpose yet. It's like going on a road trip. If you go here and then you go there, you go through this state, you go through that state, you don't get discouraged because you're not there. You must go through all these different states or travel these roads to get to your destination. And in this case, you're finding your purpose is your destination.
When you discovered your purpose, was there a certain event that was happening in your life? Can you recall how this happened? How did you get to this place of discovery?
Yes, it was not just one event. It was a series of events. I had embarked, I was living in North Carolina. My husband, myself, and my son, we were living in North Carolina. And I had this desire, this urge, this drive to do something independently. I had a good job, corporate job, and I talked to my husband about it, and then once we agreed that I would leave the job, I resigned and I started doing my own thing. In the process, there were several other things, and my business was going very well. And so several other things occurred. My husband and I started having difficulties. My mother got sick. She was in Virginia, and she got sick, and she actually fell. And it was like all this stuff was going on. My business was going great. And I was like, you know what? I love you, but I have to go see about my mom. I love you, but I got to go see what's going on with my mom. And we were, like I said, we were having problems anyway. So I thought it was a good time for us to have some time apart, figure out what we were going to do. In the process, I moved back home with my son. We're staying with my mom. I'm checking on her. We're trying to figure out what's going on with her. And then, so I moved my business from North Carolina to Virginia. And then I'm also taking her to doctor visits and all this stuff. And this went on for a couple of years. I'm building my business over again. And then I'm checking on her, trying to figure out what's going on, still in contact with my husband. And then a couple of years in, he died from a motorcycle accident. He was riding his motorcycle in North Carolina and was killed. And then about a year after that, I was still working on closing his estate, and my mother died. And so all of this is going on. I'm raising a teenager, preteen teenager going into high school. And at that point, my business was booming. All of this was going on at the same time. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And the pressure from all of that could have been overwhelming, because I couldn't stop and grieve, because I had a son that I had to raise. I had to show him a sense of strength. And this is how this is how you successfully walk through a tragic situation or tragic situations. Also, I had a business that by that point, I think I had been rebuilding here in Virginia for about 5 years. So I couldn't let that go. I had television commercials, radio commercials. I had to keep going. I had customers lined up on the books. So with all that said, I went into a deep place of prayer and meditation. Before my mother died, she actually told me, the week before she died, she told me that she was leaving, but I didn't believe her. I'm like, okay, I didn't think she was lying. I didn't want to believe her. And my mother was a deeply spiritual woman. So, but she was like, you know what? I'm checking out in 7 days. And one day I'll tell the story in more detail. But she said, to be clear, she said, God came to get me last night, and I told him that I'm not ready. I still had some things left to do. And he said, I'll be back in 7 days. And she said, so 7 days from now, I'm checking out. I was like, okay, Mom, whatever. I hear you, but I'm not listening. And during that week, we had long conversations. She had long conversations with all her children. Me, my sister, her husband, my son, and she talked to us individually. Part of the conversation she had with me was that you finally found your path. You finally found what you're supposed to be doing. Because remember, when I first came back home, she told me, she gave me this card, God has a purpose for your life, and all of these things that are going on in your life, the separation, you having to move back home, and God is doing something with you, but you don't see it right now. And she gave me that card, God has a purpose for your life. Fast forward 5 going into 6 years, because she died, and 6 years after I moved back home. She told me that last week. She said, you finally found your path. You found your purpose. And she said, it's going to be tough at times, but I want you to stick with it and to live out your purpose, because you found what you've been looking for. And then 7 days after that, she checked out.
Wow. You found your purpose during a time when you were experiencing serious stuff, things that would have toppled so many, but yet you turned it around and made it work for you. It made you discover what probably is the most significant thing in your life, discovering your purpose. I think it's commendable. I commend you for that. That is powerful. That was powerful.
Thank you.
Now, what would you like our audience to take away from this discussion? What is the most important thing you'd want them to take away from the conversation that we're having today about purpose?
Don't give up. See, when you found your purpose, not that life is without difficulties, but there's a different ease of living life because you know your purpose and you can stay focused on that. So regardless of what comes, you know, even if you have to go through something, you know that there's a reason and why you're going through it. When you don't know your purpose or you're looking for your purpose, life can seem confusing. It can seem, for some people, it can seem hopeless, or, why am I here? Like, and people say it, what's the purpose? They can be led astray by or distracted. So don't give up hope if you have not found your purpose, and continue to, as I said earlier, try different things, learn, grow. If you are on a path of discovery, there's a quote, and I forgot who said it. Maybe you know, but it says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And the teacher might come in the form of a book. It might come in the form of a conversation, whether with you or something that you overhear from someone else. It might come in the form of an experience that you have or someone else has, but the teacher will appear. And I can tell you that over and over and over again. I used to vend also. I started at the flea market when I came back to Virginia. I loaded the store up, all the store supplies that I had. And I started out here at the local flea market, rebuilding, because it takes a lot of money. And so I also started traveling. And I remember going to this one festival, and this woman that was set up across from me, she kept looking at me and smiling. And I smiled back at her, but I'm like, what? I could tell that, like, she was tuned in or focused in on me. And I'm like, okay, maybe she just likes all the aromatherapy products that I have. I don't know what's going on. And so after we finished the day and we got ready to pack up, she came over to me and she gave me this beautiful painting that, well, it's not a painting, it is a print of one of her paintings. And she signed it. And it's actually the picture of a woman taking a book, and she's throwing the book. It looks like she's throwing it to the wind, and she's going up this kind of rocky path of this mountain, but on the other side is a waterfall coming down. And so it's as though this woman is throwing the book and the rules, to the wind. She's throwing the cares and the rules of what she's been told to the wind. And she's following this path to the sun. And so she signed it, and she said, "You're on the path to nirvana, but you just don't know it yet." Mm-hmm. And that lesson, that woman, she was a teacher that appeared, and she gave me the confidence to pursue the unbeaten path that I was meant to follow. And not doing everything necessarily by the book and by the rules of what I've been taught, of what I was supposed to do, go get a good job. And it's nothing wrong with that for people who are meant to follow that path. but I was meant to be an independent entrepreneur and so forth. So that's a lesson of the teacher appearing when the student is ready.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is a very valid lesson that you're sharing here today. And I'm going to go on record to say that it seems to me as if you have had your collision with your purpose.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I have to get my plug in here. I've written a book. God has a divine purpose for your life. And this is based upon the stories that I've shared here today and how I found my purpose. And really, not just about how I found my purpose, but this book is written to help other people find their purpose.
And how can we get that book, your book on purpose?
It is on Amazon. So you can go to Amazon and you can either Google God Has a Divine Purpose for Your Life, or you can Google Aretha LaPearl Day on, you know, I say Google, but search on Amazon. Also, my website, www.drarethaday.com. So it's www.drarethaday.com, but it's spelled drarethaday.com.
Okay, great. So folks, if you want to learn more about the book written by Dr. Day, just go over to, can you put it up on the screen again, please? God Has a Divine Purpose for Your Life by Aretha LaPearl Day. Go over to Amazon, just Google it, you'll find it, and purchase her book. Lots of good information in there for you to learn from and to empower you in the pursuit of your purpose. Dr. Day, in closing, would you like to add anything else to our conversation today?
No, I think I've said what I've had to say. Just keep rising to the top, keep giving, keep loving, keep doing, you know, don't give up hope, because life has so much for you and so much for you to offer others. So.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. So Dr. Day, I want to thank you for joining me today on the A Collision with Purpose project. Your insight will undoubtedly add immense value to the conversation about purpose. I look forward to having you back on this program to continue our conversation about purpose. I'm extending an open invitation for you to come back whenever you can. Do you accept that invitation?
I do, and thank you so much for having me on this time, as well as inviting me back.
Thank you so much. It is my pleasure. So, folks, this brings us to the end of this edition of the A Collision with Purpose project Under the Spotlight. If you're like most of us and would like to develop a better understanding of your purpose, please submit your short video speaking on the topic of purpose to acollisionwithpurpose@gmail.com. If you would like to participate in an interview like this one, please submit your request to be interviewed to acollisionwithpurpose@gmail.com. Please note that your video submission and your interview will be posted on our social media platforms. That is it for now. Blessings always.
Thank you.